Can't recognize great threats to society and their own lives and livelihoods, can't see evil staring them in the face, and you get no report, but either perplexity or hostility thrown back in your teeth when you dare to mention it, and it would be easy enough to abuse their folly. What more fundamental reason, then, to try and do good to one and all rather than exploit the wankers and leave them by the side of the road?
That's from Simon, and just a little background. He's from Sweden, so that may explain the mentality a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Sweden.
Yeah. It's like if Eat, Pray, Love was written by Siddhartha Gautama.
Right.
Suffer, doubt, die.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, man, you guys are like the total gasping canary in the coal mine. Wow, that is
well, I used to actually live in Tensta, which is like less than a mile away from Rinkeby. The riots. It's not grenades flying left and right, but constant police presence. So
150,000 genitally mutilated women in Sweden. I just saw the report. 150,000 genitally mutilated women in Sweden, and girls, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
Sentences I never thought I would utter when I was younger in my life.
Well, if you want to, get them in on start them early, teach them some discipline. Didn't we have that discussion? Jeez, it's. What are you to do? This is the evil that I'm talking about. But no. Cultural enrichment. Goddamn people.
And a genetic replacement of your population within a generation or two. I mean, Swedish native Swedes, the blondes are going to be a minority in the 2040s.
To be frank, I don't hold with the whole nationalism thing. I mean, Sweden basically died in the 70s. That was the last straw. The thing that we have now is just a shambling zombie pretending at some sort of
and what happened
function.
In the 70s? I mean, I know there was socialism crept in and the divorce rate went through the roof, and divorce in Sweden is extraordinarily high. It's like 47% of marriages or something.
Yeah, it was sort of we had some of course you can you can split things up. You can try to focus on the individual instance, but I think it was sort of we used to have a public servant's responsibility clause that was removed by Olof Palme. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
He Social Democrat prime minister. Of course, we've only had Social Democrats except for a slim spot recently when we had the moderates. I suppose you would call them liberals, not right wing for Sweden, but not in any other context. And of course, people got more revenue. Entrepreneurship shot up. We managed to dodge the whole housing crisis, but no, they were too bland. People didn't want to. It's that natural thing. The moment they see a bit of reduction of deficit, the socialists are just going to dig their claws in. They think, oh, look at all this money that we weren't used to. What social programs can we toss that at now? It's, I don't know. Aaron Flam was on Ruben recently, and he pretty much sums it up. I mean, everybody who has got some, because there are those of us inside who see all this happening, but it's just what can we do? You have the whole weight of establishment against you, so yeah.
This is a huge question, and of course, some of the free speech challenges in Europe make it significantly risky, right?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't go out and I mean, it absolutely depends upon the social context. If I'm talking to somebody I know, if I'm talking to somebody I'm not sure how many callers you have from Sweden, but I know that there are people watching you out there. I know that there are people taking in information from elsewhere. It's just it's more of a question of getting them to turn off the TV and stop trusting, stop reading the Metro in the morning. I don't know. I think you have Metro over there as well. Is it just as biased?
You mean the newspapers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's I mean, anything that's hard copy is almost inevitably terrible or invariably terrible. I don't know, Simon. I mean, the big question is there any chance for a soft landing or a soft turnaround to this stuff? I mean,
well,
or is it just like, okay, well, if it's going to crash, better sooner than later?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's precisely what I'm so freaking worried about, because I mean, I'm no expert in anything, basically. Every job I've ever done, every job I've ever gotten, I have basically just come to the work site and proven my chops. That's how I landed. I'm an electrician and an electrotechnician, and not much more than that. But I have some experience in mechanics, and that's really what I want to do. I'm quitting my job now. I'm quitting my job because nothing is happening, and there are lots of these.
What do you mean nothing's happening? There's no housing.
Well, no. Reference to the last caller. No creativity. Why? Well, because of the executive chain. I'm the kind of guy who, I'm sorry if referencing a previous caller is going to break up. I'm the kind of guy. My father, for instance, he works for a pretty major company, and among other things, pumps and heavy duty machinery and stuff. They build milking machines. These automatic robotic platforms where the cows can just walk in, and then it wanders around in a traverse. And they ran into some problems with one of those, and so he asked me to come out and take a look at it. And what do I see? Well, I see this setup where they have, because they have to be able to take out the platforms and clean them individually or repair them in case something with the drives breaks or whatever. And I see these platforms. They got two of these really geared down torpedo-like engines, lots of momentum, because they're supposed to traverse slowly, but they weigh like 10 tons. And two of them individually for each of these. And I just go, what the hell? Hey, you guys, design team, I'm sure you can afford to go to Antwerp. Have you ever seen a cable lift before? Like,
this is getting a little bit too detailed for the general audience, but let's just say that you're frustrated with lack of innovation, lack of creativity, but Europeans are depressed and stressed at the moment.
Yeah,
I mean, there are these huge questions, these huge decisions that are being made, unprecedented in European history, and there appears to be no room for public discussion, public forum. If you bring any questions or issues up around mass immigration from the third world, your media or your government will attack you, and there could be big, huge problems. And so I think that Europeans as a whole just really stressed and really depressed and really anxious and paralyzed about, we can't talk about these fundamental decisions that are going to have massive impacts on our society, already are having massive impacts on our society. No one's allowed to talk about it. We can't have any rational discussions. We can't look at facts. We can't look at ideologies. We can't look at religions. We can't look at compatibilities. We can't look at IQ. We can't look at genetics. We can't look at environment. We can't look at anything. Anytime anyone brings up anything, they're attacked by, it seems, just about every quarter, and the attacks are public and the support is private. So as far as, hey, feel like being creative today, Europeans feel like being enthusiastic and optimistic, feel like having a lot of kids? I don't think so.
Exactly.
I don't think so at all. I think feel like avoiding, feel like getting drunk, feel like a lot of meaningless sex. Well, this is what people do in wartime.
Pretty much, yeah. Power of consolidation, power of establishment, and of course the thing is, the breaking point. When is it going to go? When are we going to be able to turn this ship around? But I mean, look at the UK election. What actually happened there?
What actually happened was this Theresa May. What actually happened was Theresa May found out that her recommendation on dealing with terrorism by censoring the internet turned out to be neither credible nor popular.
Yeah, but why did she make that goddamn recommendation? And it's I know all Hanlon's razor. You're not supposed to attribute to evil what is more easily explained by stupidity. But come on, this is the UK. This is a story.
Toby Robinson writes about it, and we talked about it. The British government is sitting on a powder keg. They're sitting on a powder keg, and this has been explained. And Tommy Robinson talks about it. They're sitting on a powder keg, and European governments as a whole are sitting on a powder keg. Now, appeasement has been something that has been tried repeatedly throughout European and human history, and it always has generally the same outcome. But
the Dane Guild.
Yeah, according to what Tommy Robinson says, and I think he's got some good information regarding this, a lot of decisions were made decades ago about the demographics of England and of Europe, and current politicians who were kids at the time and didn't have any say in those decisions have now inherited this challenge, this mess, this potential powder keg. And what are they supposed to do? Well, everyone hopes that somehow things are going to magically turn around and everything's going to be hunky-dory and everyone's going to get along and kumbaya and so on. But there's significant reasons to doubt all of that. And what are existing politicians supposed to do? Well, my answer is, well, you have to give up the welfare state. You have to give up the welfare state. You have to end the welfare state in the same way that if you want to find out if someone loves you, you have to stop paying them to go out with you. If they care about you, then they'll be there whether you pay them or not. And so if people really love and respect and want to be a part of British culture and history, stop paying them to be there, and in particular, stop paying everyone to have kids. You have to give up the welfare state. Now, and that's not a racist thing. That's not any particular religion thing. You just have to give up the welfare state. And I've been saying this for 35 years. And the wages of sin, as I said before, is death. And the welfare state was a profound sin against the history of Europe and the history of Western freedoms. The welfare state was a profound anti-property rights, anti-freedom, anti-family, anti-culture, anti-history measure that the Europeans were susceptible to. And if the Europeans aren't willing to give up the welfare state, then the immigrants who come who really want to be part of Europe and want to be part of the market and like the values and so on, they'll stay. And the people who are only there for the money and the free stuff and the eventual perhaps cultural appropriation, they won't stay. So I think that you can advocate for the end of the welfare state. I don't think that's illegal. I mean, how is that promoting hate against anyone? I want everyone to not have the welfare state because it's wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think that, so what's going to motivate the politicians to give up the welfare? I mean, you're absolutely right. They're riding a tiger. How do you get off? But you have to
convince people that this is what is necessary. And by God, if Europeans can't give up the welfare state, what does that mean? I mean, Europeans who fought and died by the millions in the past can't even give up free stuff from the government. Just going to be selected out of history. I'm sorry, that's just the way nature works. That's just the way nature. If you can't give up the welfare, if that's sacrifice, and it actually would be enormously healthy and beneficial to society as a whole, even for the people who now consider themselves helplessly and hopelessly dependent upon it, it will be far, far better for everyone. So, and if Europeans won't give up that, well, then it's just like the guy who won't give up a dangerous drug that's going to kill him. Okay, well, then you won't give up the welfare state, and the consequences will accrue. Yeah, but politicians will follow that. If there are enough voters who want to give up the welfare state, then the politicians will do it. Will follow along with it. And you don't know how this can manifest. Charles Murray wrote a book on welfare, and it was, although he rejects what Bill Clinton did with it as insufficient and wrong-headed in some ways, but he wrote a book on the unintended consequences of the welfare state before the bell curve, and it had significant impact on raising the discussion about the welfare state in America. And who knows how that would go now with the internet and with the capacity to get information out in an unfiltered format. So,
Yeah, sure.
Who knows? There could be so many different ways that this could go. And it could be something that would be enormously healthy for Europe as a whole, because there are people who come from other cultures and other countries who can add to European culture, but they have to be there for the right reasons. And the welfare state, it's all the wrong reasons.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to sort of go against you because it's oh geez, I'm a rude mechanic. I look at the basics. I look at the way things seem to want to interact, and if there's, there is, Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's right. And I think that he's even more
about
right.
What? He's written a lot of things
about
ethno-states, argumentation ethics. What are we talking here?
We're talking a democracy, the god that failed.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I think that is, it's. You look at the latest. You look at market bubbles. They keep getting bigger and bigger. You look at the inflation of the welfare. Here in Sweden, for instance, in the last 50 years, the welfare state has increased 4 times in size and several magnitudes in terms of inefficiency. And you see something. It's not to the same degree, but it's always moving in that direction.
Sure.
It seems that administration is the only thing that expands in a completely enclosed environment. The political drama seems to be mounting. You look at the UK as an example. You have Theresa May, this false freaking middle at the great, reaching an ever more, ever tighter closing of the Overton window at the expense of ever more political drama and ever more administrative cost. It's a flip-flopping. It's a mounting flip-flopping overcorrection overlaid on top of a logarithmically downwards wandering graph of efficiency. What does that say to you? To me, as somebody who's like an engineer, I see, oh shit, unstable hysteresis, and the machine is already running. Well, duck and cover, because that only ends.
Okay, so you've given up. Okay.
No,
that's what you're telling me. You've given up. And look, I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm pointing out a fact. If somebody's in deep water and they stop swimming, then they're going to sink. Right? If you're cold and you're in a blizzard and you stop walking and you lie down, then you're just getting ready to die, right? Well, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just pointing out a fact. You've given up. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I can't read the future. I think for sure, if you've given up and if everyone agrees with you, then it's over.
No, not every.
You understand though. If locally, you can convince other people to give up, if it's over, and everyone gives up, then it's over. But you don't know for sure. You only know because you've accepted it. There are times when it's over. That's not yet. We got the internet, right? We're having this conversation. You've got the internet. There are things that you can do that are powerful and positive and legal, always legal, right? Things that you can do that are powerful and positive and legal that can help your country, that can help Europe, that can help the world. Listen, they're bringing all these people into Europe in an economically unsustainable fashion. It's cruel to everyone. It's horrible to everyone. And so if you've given up, that's your choice. I don't think that there's reason to give up at the moment because we have the internet. We have a way of communicating across the world, around the world, never existed before. It's new facts. It's new information. It's unprecedented. You don't have the right to give up when there's a new tool that never existed before that may be all we need. Now, it doesn't guarantee us anything. It doesn't guarantee us anything other than the opportunity to speak and be heard. But if you want to give up because you're looking at history or you're looking at X or Y or Z, and you're not taking into account the fact that you can speak to the whole world about what's important, then you're giving up. with no excuse, with no good reason.
Well. Who am I to? I mean, I'm not saying that you need. I'm not making that fallacy that you need to have perfect credibility and perfect integrity as you yourself as an individual. I mean, otherwise I would definitely not be here. In order to be able to point out flaws, in order to be able to criticize the behaviors of others, etc., etc.
No, Christ! I mean, how much genuine innovation or revolution comes out of academia, for God's sakes? Martin Luther was a monk. And both the positive and the negative kinds, right? I mean, Lenin was a revolutionary. Not John, but Vladimir. Lenin was a revolutionary. He went out and he acted. This didn't come out of... I mean, academia paved the way in some ways and so on, but I don't care what people's credentials are on the internet. I care how good their arguments are. I care how compelling their focus is. I care how compelling their topics are, how much they get it, how much they understand, how passionate they are and how committed they are, whether they're willing to take any risks or whether they're just towing the politically correct party line, whether they think for themselves or they just mouth the platitudes that make them popular among idiots. So as far as, I don't have this credential, in the modern world, credentials are a negative. If I had a PhD in philosophy from Harvard, I would be nowhere near as successful as I am in doing what I'm doing. Credentials raise suspicion. Credentials these days put you in the category of the ruling elite who've screwed everything up for the past 70 years. Harvard? What? Not to pick on Harvard. I mean, any of these Ivy Leagues. What is coming out of there? What is coming out of these institutions that's powerful and innovative and compelling and helpful and essential and important?
Oh, well, not much.
Much. Right.
Oh, well, again, it's, the wrong incentives. It's just that it's not just because I see... Anyone
who says, well, I've got to get a PhD from Harvard to be taken seriously doesn't take themselves seriously.
No, but it's that it's really, it's not just... I mean, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm thinking like, it's like a ball bearing. It's self-explanatory. But there are people out there who are so freaking smart, who are so freaking meritorious, who have integrity coming out the ass. And I'm talking about the likes of, Jordan Peterson, Gaza, Jonathan Haidt, and it seems to me that when they are talking about, so what they do to all these social justice warriors, these leftists, these, Richard Spencer's stupid fucking face, all of this, they just hammer it. They nail it. Until it's squirming like a newly castrated dog.
I'm sorry, I'm lost what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Oh, better people, so much better people, and then they should be able to step back and examine this stuff, and then they do a 180 and they hold up and laud the system that seems to be creating all this evil, curing the opportunistic infections and then ignoring the immune-compromising disease.
Wait, who is doing this 180?
Well, like I said, Jordan Peterson, if I'm allowed to, make a shout out. We have believing
you're allowed
that,
to talk about Jordan Peterson on this show. Absolutely, of course, right?
Oh, no, but believing that, democracy is all we're going to need to solve this. Well, now we have the media revolution, the democratization of information. Sure, it can, it can contribute a whole lot, but still, I mean, these layers and layers.
Listen, sorry to interrupt you, man. Let's say that from your perspective, Jordan Peterson is not doing the right thing. What do you care? If you think Jordan Peterson is not doing the right thing,
No, he is evident. He is absolutely doing the right thing, but I'm thinking, it's not going all the way because.
Okay. So let's say he's not going all the way. Why would you compare yourself to someone out there other than as an inspiration to go further? If you think that's the way to go, then go further. then do learn from people who you feel are not going far enough and go further.
Well, that's my dilemma. If slings and arrows, better to take arms against them, yada yada. I consider tech to be the only unequivocal good there is left. So that's sort of the dilemma.
You talk yourself in and out of stuff. You're either going to do something or you're not. Just all these words, well, this person does this and this person does something else and they should go further and so on. Look, you're either going to do something or you're not. You know that old phrase, shit or get off the pot. You're either going to do something in this time of high drama, in this time of absolute necessity for all people of moral intentions and goodwill and rationality and consistency and integrity and virtue to damn well stand up for something and stand for what matters and stand for what's important and stand to save that which we have, which the world needs, which the world desperately needs. You're either going to do something or you're going to talk yourself out of it. It comes down to just having the courage to stand up and speak about what's important to you, about what's important to the world, about what's right. You're going to do something or you're not. Now, it doesn't have to do with Jordan Peterson, and it doesn't have to do with Gadsat, and it doesn't have to do with me, and it doesn't have to do with anyone or anything else other than your own choice to do something or not. It doesn't have to do with whether anyone's going to listen, and it sure as hell doesn't have to do with whether you're going to succeed or not. You don't need courage if you know you're going to succeed. You need courage when you don't know if you're going to succeed, and the less you think you're going to succeed, the more courage you need. It is a singular commitment you take by looking in the mirror and saying, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to spend my precious days on this planet? What am I going to do to defend the natural entropy and decay of all that is good and virtuous in the world, as all the swirling clouds of sinister malevolence want to take it over and milk it for their own profit? We shield virtue from evil for any residual love we have for the immoral among us, who, if they get their way, will end up destroying everything that has been created. If you want to have the right to criticize, you first of all have to act. If you want to say, well, this person doesn't do this, or they should go further, or they should do this, how about just being in action yourself? You'll find that your desire to criticize other people will diminish proportionate to your positive action in the world. But it's down to you and your conscience and your willpower and your choice. Yes, there are an enormous number of fools and deluded idiots and intelligent dupes of evil in the world. It has always been that way. It will be that way for the foreseeable future, no matter what. And the only thing that we can provide, the only thing that you can provide, Simon, is the example of your courage, the example of your outspokenness, the example of your resolute integrity to speak the truth and shame the devil, as the old saying used to go. And now you can say, well, other people should be doing something different. Well, it's going to be difficult. Well, I don't know if it's going to succeed. Well, people are going to vote this, or they're going to do that, or there are politicians, or there's the media, or there's blowback, or this or that. Of course you can do all that you want as far as that goes. And what you're doing is you're talking yourself out of doing what you damn well know needs to be done. If you're listening to this show, if you're listening to the people that you've referenced, you know what needs to be done. And everyone has something different to contribute to that. Jordan Peterson is really, really great on his, he's great on a lot of things, great on the pursuit of self-knowledge stuff. Fantastic. This audit yourself, is good stuff. It's good stuff. He could, maybe work a little bit more on the economic side of things, but doesn't matter. Everyone has their part to play. Everyone has their role to play. Everyone has their individual skills, talents, and abilities to bring to bear on this great, challenging question. This could be the chance to liberate the world for all time. You're looking at the downside. Yeah, you could lose. You could suffer. You could experience blowback. You could be attacked. You could be scorned. You could be criticized. You could be, I don't know what. For sure. But look at the upside. Look at the upside. We could win. Now, once we win with the internet, right? Winning in the past was one thing. Winning in the past was often temporary. You push back a little bit in the late Roman Empire, encroachment of the warfare welfare state, the endless colonialism and enforced government doctrine, multiculturalism that was going on in the late Roman Empire. You could push back against that and then it would be forgotten, and then boom, it would sink down into the Dark Ages and so much knowledge would be lost and you'd start all over again. That's never happening. Short of a planet extinction event, the internet is here forever. Knowledge is here forever. These podcasts are here forever. Whatever you do is going to be there forever. Instantly accessible to just about everyone. Let me finish.
But
instantly accessible to just about everyone on the planet for all time. Whatever you do is available to everyone forever. Forever. Never happened before. Never in the history of human conflict and human nobility and human virtue have we ever had this capacity to have as much impact on the world. Everyone can be their own studio, their own station. You need a cell phone and balls. And testosterone-laced ovaries. I don't know what it is for women, but you have that opportunity, you have that power to make that kind of impact across the world for all time, accessible forever. Now, you can choose to walk away from that. I can't bully or browbeat or even inspire people into a sustained life of commitment to virtue and public service to the future. You can walk away from it. But if you walk away from it, don't at least try and tell me that is because it can't work. And don't try and tell me it's because it's hopeless. And don't try and tell me that you can't have an effect. And don't try and tell me there's too many stupid people in the world. And don't try and tell me any of that stuff. You're walking away because you're scared. You're walking away because you lack the courage to do what you know needs to be done. I won't give you the out. I mean, I can't make you do anything, of course, but I at least won't give you the out of saying it's some kind of rational, sensible, considered decision. If you give up, you've lost. And if you give up, I'm damn sad, in a way, that we have to save the world, and your ass in it too. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no. It's, no. I was just going to remark on how, but when the Romans fell, it was Rome. When the Byzantines fell, it was Byzance. When the Chinese decided to lock themselves in a closet for 500 years, it was, now we're global. If not since 1913, then certainly since 1933 or 1945. We're at the final watershed.
Right.
That's
so
what makes
now
me
it's
so
more important to act than ever.
Sure, and I'll freely admit that yes, I am scared, but it's even more than that, because I mean, when talking about Jordan Peterson and the whole thing about he had this beautiful thing when he said that most of a person's personality, it's like 95% chaff. You got to burn it away. Well, I think that that was my upbringing, going through that a bit too much and too early. It's like, okay, so I know most of the things that I found that people I thought were me, but people found either they didn't care about them or they didn't care for them. So throw them out. And now will you? I mean, come on, please. I'm here. Can you? I don't have agency really yet. Can you please see me as an investment? No. Okay, I'll change these things then. Let's. And then I ended up standing basically on a bare slope, as we say. And Jesus. I thought that I knew what loneliness was before then, but holy, that was a new level.
You will remain lonely until you speak the truth, because you see, once you've left the herd, once you have valued truth over approval, once you've valued accuracy over popularity, you've left. You're off the island, man. You're off the reservation. You can either press on and find good companions, or you can stand there in the null zone, in the space between the tribe and yourself, between the delusions and the truth. What T.S. Eliot called the shadow. You can stay there, which is the punishment land, the limbo land, that the tribe tells everyone that's the only thing outside the tribe is limbo, space, nothingness, emptiness, loneliness, ineffectuality, depression, anxiety, nothing. Outside the tribe, all is darkness. But it's not true. Outside the tribe is darkness, but if you keep going, you get to new settlements, you get to new people, you get to the villages of the future, you get to people hard at work, trying to keep the illumination going, that the tribe continues to try to extinguish with its short-sighted, short-circuited greed for things in the here and now, for moral approval, for virtue signaling, for money, for resources, for government, for power. There are those of us out here trying to maintain the fundamental engines of civilization, despite the constant wrecking balls being smashed in by short-sighted, short-circuiting democratic greedmongers who want to kill the golden goose that runs a civilization that keeps them alive. Keep pushing on. You're surrounding yourself with words and ineffectuality and examination of other people. And I mean, listen back to this. Half of what you're saying is incomprehensible. The other half is baffling. Keep pushing on.
I don't think in words. I think in mechanics, because it's the only part that's left of me.
Well, that's just another thing that makes no sense to me at all. You can't turn back. You can't undo. You can't undo. You can't unlearn how to ride a bike, and you can't unlearn how to think for yourself. You must keep going. There's no way back. Going back to join the tribe is not an option. It's like wanting to be 5 again. Can't do it. You must keep pushing on. And the way that works on the internet now is you must be public with what you know. You must be public with the truth. A lot of the terrible mistakes being made in the world are due to a lack of information. Bad decisions are not always motivated by ignorance. A lot of times they're motivated by a lack of information. It's not malevolence, it's ignorance that drives a lot of these bad decisions. Everyone's the same. Every ethnicity is the same. All belief systems are the same. Well, people haven't studied it. They don't know the facts. They don't know the science. They don't know the source material. Inform them about the facts. And that will help. You can't change the minds of truly malevolent people. But there are people who are lockstep and useful idiots for the malevolent people because they lack information. You give them the information, they can make better decisions. Some people are going to eat themselves to death no matter what. Other people, you give them a good nutrition plan, they can turn it around. They're just ignorant. They don't know. They don't understand. They haven't been told, or the information has often been rigidly and relentlessly suppressed and kept away from them. Keeping information away from people is a foundational methodology for spreading evil. Because in the absence of knowledge, people succumb to authority. And evil loves to keep knowledge away from people so that it can substitute its own punishments for authority, which grows in the absence of information. If you give people information, give people the facts that are kept away from them, and they can then use their own judgment, their own information, and they'll be less susceptible to the machinations of the malevolence that keeps them ignorant so that they can kowtow to the authority of evil. Go speak, and then you'll be seen by other people. And you can find the good companions, the friendlies, right? All the people who know, who understand, who can enhance what you know.
I mean, sure,
but you can enhance. I'm going to have to, I know you're going to undermine and undercut what I'm saying. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to other people, Simon. I know you need to not talk at the moment, in my opinion. You need to listen, and then you need to not talk, and I'll close off the show. And you need to listen back to this a couple of times, and you need to listen. What you're trying to do is justify your own inaction by an appeal to universal hopelessness and despair. And overcomplication, which is a very waspy form of despair, but is nonetheless a paralysis, as surely as determinism or anything else that you can come up with. So it's your choice. You are responsible for what you do. You can blame other people. You can say it's because this, that, or the other, or you can claim hopelessness and so on. But you wouldn't be calling into this show if you were truly hopeless. You wouldn't be listening to the show if you were truly hopeless. You'd view me as a deluded fool, marching off a cliff thinking I'm going to Flintstone step my way across clouds to the promised land. You're not hopeless. You want me to tell you that you're responsible, that you have a choice, that hopelessness is a damn excuse and you know it, that despair is a damn excuse and you know it, that blaming The ignorance of the masses is a damn excuse, and you know it. Because if the masses are ignorant and you have knowledge and you have the internet, you have a damn responsibility to inform the masses, to educate the masses. Now, if after you educate the masses and after you tell the masses and after you fight the good fight and we all fight the good fight and we lose, who knows? Who cares? Doesn't matter. We don't know. The future is not written as yet. The future involves our penmanship. The future involves what we carve, what we write, what lasers we can play on the clouds to write out the syllables that save the species so that the eyes of everyone can see. That's our choice. That's what we do. And that's what we inherited. We inherited a civilization from men and women who took far greater risks than we will be asked to take. People who brought scientific knowledge in the face of superstitious lunatics who had them burnt at the stake and drawn and quartered at times. We are enormously fortunate in the lack of risk that we have to take to maintain civilization. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's scary. Sometimes. The alternative being what? If we lie down, the grass of death grows over us and our bodies and our histories and our culture and our civilization, perhaps never to return. Because the internet isn't just available to us, it's also available to the bad people, and it's also available to the people who are ignorant because they wish to avoid knowledge and wish to spread that avoidance of knowledge, just as I think you may be wishing to spread hopelessness and despair to normalize what you don't want to do. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. It's the right thing to do, to speak the truth. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it's the only thing that can work. It's the only thing that can work. And if nobody speaks the truth, it comes down to force. And once it comes down to force, that is a significant dice roll. And there's much more uncertainty in force than there is in rational debate. And that's why we need to win the future with words. So thanks everyone so much for listening and for calling in tonight. A great pleasure to chat with you. As always, please don't forget, freedomainradio.com/donate. There's an action you can take that I think will genuinely help the world. freedomainradio.com/donate. Please follow me on Twitter at StefanMon. You can use the affiliate link, fdrurl.com/Amazon. Thanks everyone so much. We'll talk to you soon.